very important. Please remain standing as I invite young Denisha Manning to say a word of prayer for us.
Pleasant good night, everyone. Bow our head and close our eyes. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here safely tonight. We thank you for this powerful administration called the People's National Movement. Father God, as we go about this meeting tonight, I pray for all the candidates coming up here to speak power in the name of Jesus. Father, as we go forward in our election period, I pray for victory and I claim victory in the name of Jesus. And I pray for a successful meeting. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. PNM people, it's 13 days. 13 days to December the 6th. 13 days for us to hit the ground. 13 days for us to mobilize the troops. 13 days for us to get the message out there. 13 days for us to reassure our people. 13 days for us to continue to convince and work with our people. 13 days to get the message out there. 13 days, critical days to protect your future, the future of every Tobagonian, each and every one, whether it is a baby, an old lady, the uncle, auntie, whoever it is. The PNM is on a mission to protect the future of Tobago. At this time, I would like to recognize our political leader, and you all please make some noise for a lady with a type of strength I don't know how to describe anymore. Tracy Davidson Celestine. And of course, I saw earlier in the crowd Mr. Wesley Celestine. I would also like to recognize, and I will give you all a joke about this man afterwards, our Deputy Chief Secretary, Secretary of Finance and the Economy, former representative for Bacalet Mount St. George, and candidate for Bacalet Bagatelle, Mr. Joel Dupont Jack. Of course, our candidate for the area, and I had the pleasure of working with him on a number of occasions now in the area. And it seems he's a swordfish like no other. You all put your hands together for Mr. Charles Palo Adams. And it would be remiss of me if I did not take this opportunity to recognize a legend, a living legend, a woman who has served at every level of the party, a woman who has served as an area representative in Bacalet Mount St. George, a woman who has been recognized for her service with the Dr. Eric Williams Memorial Medal, a woman who has mothered many, mentored many. Put your hands together for Miss Cynthia Alfred, former Deputy Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. Of course, my name is Kwesi Devines, and the most humble of them all in this occasion. I don't have as many accolades as many of the people I just mentioned. but I happen to be the PRO of the party. And I'm here in two capacities tonight. I'm here tonight because there's some deception going on that I can't not speak about it anymore. You know, they say trees will grow if men do nothing. You know, we could do nothing and trees will grow. But democracy will not prosper if good men do nothing. And I think I'm a good man. Although some, especially if you go on the live now, you would see some of the vitriol and the hate from the other side, because they are on a mission of hate to deceive the people of Tobago. And I'm here in my capacity as Secretary of Infrastructure, because one of the greatest deceptions, one of the greatest lies being told, is that the PNM Tobago House of Assembly has done nothing for the people of Tobago. And you know, driving here, I drove through Sawmill Trace just now. Well, it used to be a trace. And I remember when that was nothing more than a dirt road. And I drove past the field, the well-lit field where guys are still playing football right now. And, you know, it took my mind back to a time when I was much younger, and I used to go to look at football with my father in Shaw Park. And I was so amazed growing up when they put lights in Shaw Park. I thought it was the greatest thing. And Shaw Park was the only field in Tobago that you could have played a game in the night, whether it's cricket, football, or anything else. You drive around Tobago right this moment, and the amount of lit fields that we have available for young men and women throughout Tobago, from Crown Point or Canaan, Bonaccord, all the way to Charlottesville. And you wonder, as a matter of fact, there was one time that we complained, I remember Mr. London, former Chief Secretary Orville London, speaking about the fact that sometimes people left the lights on because, you know, we don't care who paid the light bill. But the light bill was paid out of the same money that we used to pay wages, salaries, buy cement, and all of these things. And you see, sometimes we come to take these things for granted. And the fact that we can say nothing was done means we take things like that for granted. And brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you that we should not take many of the things that we have access to now for granted, because they came as a result of the deliberate efforts of the People's National Movement Administration. And, you know, we take for granted, and I want to share, because I saw a video where the political leader on the other side had people saying, well, there's nothing for the youths, no recreation facilities. And I said, but I must be going crazy. Because the amount of facilities that there are, you see, for young people, we take it for granted, because I remember, and I'm pretty young still, that I paid for my bus tickets to get the maxi to go to school. And there was only a small group of people that used to get school feeding. And now we have a situation where almost every single child in every single school gets a quality meal, because we have gone the length and breadth to ensure that there's local content in the food. Again, deliberately PNM policy, not by accident, to ensure that we feed all of these children in school on a day-to-day basis. We have maxis that would have taken, of course, the pandemic has disrupted our lives a bit, that take children to school free of charge. Do you think that nobody pays for that? It is the PNM Tobago House of Assembly that decided that this is the policy that we are going to put in place. And you know, I have many friends up the islands, because I had the opportunity to work up the islands. I had the opportunity to interact and train other young people. And they still pay for CXC subjects in other countries. They have to. I was talking to my sister the other day, and she was telling me about a friend of hers in Antigua who had to throw barbecue just to do CXC. Eric Williams said it. The future of our nation is in the backpacks of the children of our nation. We, the PNM, have invested in young people close to $100 million and more in recent time in the Scarborough RSC school, upgrading other schools, whether it's Signal Hill, Patience Hill, in Hope as well, upgrading upgrading these schools, empowering our people. And I just want to zero in quite quickly on infrastructure, because we're in Mountain George, just on the outskirts of Studley Park. And in our quarry to St. Vincent and to Guyana, to get foreign exchange for our coffers here in Tobago, the jetty. It took us going into the quarry and working to come up with a new model. It's no longer the case where people line up for hours or the day before to ensure that they can get some aggregate. Aggregate is there for you, because we have decided that we will ensure that we can build Tobago using Tobago materials, and we want to build Trinidad too, because we're sending armored rock and aggregate to Trinidad, and we want to help build Guyana too with our aggregate here, and we want to build St. Vincent, and wherever you please, we have the ability to build, and we have been building right here in Tobago. You know, I'm amazed. There was a technocrat at the Division of Infrastructure who shared with me a list of roads that were paid from 2001 up to 2019. And the long list of roads, over 19 pages long, of roads that were built, developed under the People's National Movement. And you see people complain that, yes, on the roads we have potholes. But wherever you go in the world, whether it's in the United Kingdom, whether you go to the United States, there are potholes as well. Potholes don't determine our development. What determines our development is what we do to invest in our people. And the PNM has continued to invest in our people. And I want to share with a bit of you about the unemployment relief program. You see, I'm hearing stories that are disturbing me, because I heard a passing comment by Farley Augustine when they held the Assembly legislature to ransom, like a group of terrorists almost. They terrorized the clerk of the house. They terrorized the poor woman, say that they go and take her to court and all kind of thing. But I'll talk more about that later. But he said that we're not here to scratch like URP and CPEP, and I took offense. And I took more offense when people from the unemployment relief program started to message me and ask me what Farley mean that we're scratching. Because we have worked so hard to rebrand URP useful, relevant, and productive. And the amazing things I've seen coming out of this program now, because we have empowered persons in URP. We have provided more opportunities for training. They have had training with even USAID, United States-based agencies in agriculture. They planted over 900 pawpaw trees in Roxborough. We moved to where we are now executing well over 65 construction projects every single financial year. The furniture workshop, we spoke to the guys there, and we are saying to them, they can build quality caskets inside of there, some of the best work, beds, desks, and so on, you name it. As a matter of fact, URP is responsible for the desk that is in the Scarborough RSC School, Signal Hill Secondary School, and many other schools around Tobago. And they say that URP is sitting down there scratching. We are in the business of empowering our people. We have gone so far to provide training, because I break no bones about it. Women are the cornerstone of our society. If you want to strengthen our society, strengthen and empower our women. And you know, as men, we have to stand up very often in defense of our women. And I will get to that later, because we have a responsibility to stand up to defend our women. But in URP, the women's program, we have exposed them to training in making cocoa spar products, other agro-processing training, because we recognize that through this program, we can develop these women. We can develop our women. And we're in the process now of partnering with the business development units to ensure that we can provide business mentorship, because there are a number of women in URP who have their own businesses, and they have received grant funding from the same BDU. So now that they have their businesses and they have skills, whether they got the vocational training at the Department of Community Development or from in URP, they now have businesses of their own. So we are saying to them, let us now hold your hand and build your business so that you can start exporting from Tobago to Trinidad and the rest of the Caribbean, because we want to empower you to make a difference in your own life. We want to empower you to add to the economic value here in Tobago, and we are doing that. And they say they're sitting down scratching in URP. My heart, I can't take that type of insult to our women who are working hard day in, day out in that program. We spoke to the men in the furniture workshop who can build the caskets, and we said to them, listen, let us work with you. They build quality caskets there. Let us build that business. You can use the furniture workshop in the evening time. We are going to give you that business for your own. And we are now working on a model where they can form their own company to provide caskets to the funeral homes across Tobago. Because we are developing our people, providing opportunities for development. And they say that they're sitting down scratching. URP is useful, relevant, and productive. We advocated and we spoke to the Prime Minister a couple of years back. And in the budget, the Minister of Finance had the 15% increase in wages for all URP workers. And we will continue to advocate for even better working conditions for URP, because we understand what is happening. And today I got a phone call, again, a distressed supervisor in URP. And he said to me that he was just in the yard. He kept calling my phone. I was in some meetings, calling my phone. So I said, all right, what's the problem? Is it urgent? He said, yes, Mr. Levine, it's urgent. And he came up to my house almost breathless, up to my office, almost breathless. And he said that the people are worried, scared in URP, because they are hearing that the PDP plans to disband the unemployment relief program. They plan to disband all of the work that we have done to make URP useful, relevant, and productive. So when we say you have to protect your future, we're not talking about you alone as an individual, We're speaking to all of Tobago, all of the 1,200 employees at URP. We have to protect their future too, because they will get sent home and they will be given an ex gratia payment. Because the man said it and you heard it, and they're boasting that they will give everybody ex gratia payment before Christmas, because they plan to dismantle all that we have tried to build over the last 21 years. In one day, they will destroy what took us 20 years to build. Tobago, you have a responsibility to protect our future from those who will destroy it, those who will deny us. And you saw it, in case you're wondering, in case you figured it's just talk, we had a plan, and we have a plan to develop the economy of Tobago using the tourism sector. We said if we build a brand new airport terminal, we can attract better airlines. If we build a 5-star resort that has their own marketing budget, we can attract even more tourists who will spend more money. But what did they do? Chased away sandals and said, well, when I am chief secretary or when I am in charge, we will bring them back. Who coming back where? We went even further. Now we got Marriott to sign a deal, and they're now trying to chase away Marriott as well, where they will be providing thousands of jobs when it comes to the construction, and then even more in operation. And then we have the chief secretary. Let me stop to recognize our chief secretary at this time, Honorable Ansel Dennis. You see, again, we have a plan, and we have been deliberately developing agricultural lands because we want our farmers to produce more, so that when we build these big resorts, they don't have to import a single item. They don't have to import a tomato. They don't have to import an egg. They don't have to import any milk, any meat, because they can get it right here in Tobago. That is the dream. That is the plan. And it takes time to formulate these things. It takes time to develop these things, because you can't just wake up in the morning and say, hey, look, lands. Because then the farmer will ask you, so how are I getting water here? How can I access here? And you have to develop the road infrastructure. And we have invested hundreds of millions of dollars developing our road infrastructure. From Charlottesville to Crown Point, we have opened brand new roads for our people. So at this time, I will take a break for our next speaker, because the reality is there is a lot more for me to share with you as it comes to our infrastructural development in Tobago, because we have gone leaps and bounds to develop this island, and we take simple things for granted. You know, I was looking at the Mariah Health Center. Well, you know, I'm a Mariah boy, so I don't make too much apologies for that. And I tell people, if you could drive through the village of Mariah and identify the old health center, I would pay you. Because you would never believe what we came from and what we now have. I hear people complaining about the Roxborough Hospital, how we don't have all the services yet. And I tell people that all the time. It ain't happened yet. When you look at the development happening in Mount St. George right now, and people say, well, you know, I still have a wall to fix. I say, we ain't fix it yet. When people tell me about roads to pave, and we've paved roads all over this electoral district, I say, don't worry, we ain't paved that road yet. When people tell me, well, you know, I have a son here, he wants a job. We have hired, the Division of Infrastructure has hired over 6,000 people. We put food on the table of over 6,000 employees. So when I tell you that your son hasn't been hired, he hasn't been hired yet. When I tell you, people of Tobago, the development story of this island, from where we have come from to where we are going, the things that the PNM has done, whenever they say, well, we ain't do it, tell them, we ain't do it yet. And there are plenty more plans, and I look forward to Brother Charles Adams speaking about his plans for the community. But before that, I want to introduce to you a man who has worked hard for this electoral district. And I can tell you, because my phone is the one that is ringing, Brother Kwesi, how you doing? Well, you know, XYZ person wants to get something done in Mount St. George, or in Hope, or wherever the case might be. And then when I see my executive council, Kwesi, come to, let me talk to me for a second now. So what about this project? I thought we agreed to do this project. You put your hands together for a man who is passing the baton tonight. Put your hands together for a man who worked tirelessly for you. Put your hands together for a man who manages the financial resources of the Tobago House of Assembly. Put your hands together for Mr. Joel DuPont Jack.
Look how the sun now raising up, and the crowd now waking up. The atmosphere have vibes, and them can break it up. The girl them a wine non-stop. We had the drinks them in a my cup. We gonna party all night, all night. 24 parties we hit in a row. Tonight at the very last show.
Good night, good night. Thank you, my executive council colleague, Mr. Kwesi, hardworking Divines. And yes, Joel Dupont Albert Jack is one of the the best lobbyists around the table at the Executive Council. But DJ, give him a tune before I start. You know you have to mix me before. Well, while you get it.
Yeah, nah. This one goes out to all the people in the struggle. You got to keep the faith in Jesus, guys. Give him all the praise, yeah. Yeah, nah. Gosh. I never let go. I never let go. God will never let me down. He's the driver of my vehicle. I never let go.
Thank you, Mr. DJ. And let me say at the onset that I have been warned by the political leader. I know that you're home, but we have a short window. But ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. You look nice tonight. You look lovely. I am home in Mount St. George, and let me start off by acknowledging and introducing and celebrating, and to celebrate the first female chief secretary in the history of Tobago. Our Lady, political leader of the Tobago Island Council, Lady Tracy Davidson Celestine and Mr. Celestine. Let me also acknowledge the youngest Chief Secretary, and while he took the self-proclaimed title of the most handsome of all the assemblymen, I don't know who told him that, and the ladies in the crowd would not agree with you. And you know at home, so you're in trouble. The Honorable Ansel Dennis, Chief Secretary. Let me also acknowledge the man whom I will have the distinct pleasure to pass the baton to come December the 6th, your candidate for Mount St. George Goodwood, Mr. Charles Paulo Adams. Let me also acknowledge other party officers. I see your hardworking Madam Secretary General, Mrs. Yolanda Beckles and Mr. Beckles, former Assemblyman. Let me also acknowledge a lady in whom we could take a page out of a book and a model as it relates to representation. Lady Cynthia Alfred, former Assemblyman, Deputy Chief Secretary. Nice seeing you as well. It's also, I must acknowledge, the Chairman of Tobago West, Miss Cecile Beckles, and of course I could say Auntie Cecile. I also want to acknowledge in the crowd, Mrs. Adams. I know you're trying to hide, but you can't hide. Put your hands together for the spouse. But ladies and gentlemen, tonight is Paulo's night. So I would be uncharacteristically brief tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. With God's grace, we did it together. We achieved a lot together. And they could say what they want, they could talk all kind of nonsense. But when it comes to representation and delivery and a reference point to transformation, Bacolet Mount St. George is a reference point in Tobago. And brothers and sisters, we started this journey because I remember coming to you in 2012 as I walked community across community, village to village. I gave a commitment. I gave a commitment to provide effective representation with distinction. I gave a commitment to champion your cause. I gave a commitment to be your servant leader and to represent you with dignity. And together, brothers and sisters, we work together hand in hand. And now we can stand and smile and shout and celebrate and say to God be the glory, great things he has done. Because brothers and sisters, we did a walk this afternoon. And there was a lady who reminded me, she said, Mr. Jack, you have done well. And brothers and sisters, I say, lady, you have made my evening. You have made my night. Because in spite of the erroneous statements, in spite of the mistruths, half stories, if I say lies, my mother wouldn't be too happy. But lies and innuendos from the other side, they are still right thinking, intelligent people here in Tobago who can decipher the lies and the treachery of the persons from the other side. But brothers and sisters, you might be asking, what is the reason for the change? Some persons are sad that I am leaving. And brothers and sisters, I did not leave. Because what has happened is that the EBC renamed Bacolet Mount St. George Bagatelle Bacolet. they renamed the electoral district. And what they did, they removed 4935 amongst it, 4925 and 4935, and they merged it with the Goodwood PD to form a new electoral district. So brothers and sisters, I didn't want to leave. My neighbor Stringberry here, I hear you, darling, I hear you. I hear you. I love you too. But brothers and sisters, this evening, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting the best of both worlds. You have two hardworking, demanding young men who will continue to fight for you and to champion your cause. Joel Jack in Bagatelle, Bacolet, and Charles Paulo Adams in Mount St. George, Goodwood. And that is what you're guaranteed come December the 6th. Because, brothers and sisters, when we had to make this difficult decision, and every time I thought about it, I felt something on the inside. And I'm wondering who, because I know how I have served my people, loved my people, appreciated and served selflessly. And I'm wondering who we could find. But brothers and sisters, when I heard the name Charles Paulo Adams, when I hear Charles Paulo Adams, I say, that's a good boy. That is a good boy. So brothers and sisters, from one good man to another good man, you have your hands full. You have double trouble. Because if you're judging him, start with his track record. A man on the ground, a man around, a man who you know, and you go straight in the glass screw up tight. They come now asking for your vote, for your support. Tell them they're fast and out of place where you was all the time. Before you get into politics, you used to talk to people. Tell them you're not for sale. But I know a man. I know a man who on the ground. I know a man who is a farmer. A man who know about working hard with dignity. A productive young man. A man who, when you send him out, he will go out and represent you with dignity. And you could smile. You could sit back and rest assured it's an honest man. And that is why this evening, Mount St. George, Goodwood, come December the 6th, you only have one choice, one vote in Mount St. George, Goodwood, and that is to put the X by the Balizé and vote for Paulo Adams. But brothers and sisters, back to the journey. When we started, I came with a shared vision to make Bacolet, Mount St. George a model electoral district. And they will tell you, when it comes to making demands and requests around the table, every time something passes, Bacolet, Mount St. George. What you have for Bacolet, Mount St. George? What? And they will tell you that. Because, brothers and sisters, we had a vision. We had a plan. And some of the challenges that we encountered were mainly infrastructure. And Secretary Kwesi Devines was right. I remember when I started and I walked Sawmill Road, it was a dirt track, and you had to have a slipper in your bag to go to work, or you're leaving it out the road by Auntie Vic restaurant or by the guest house. When I came into office, I approached Mr. Hilton, hard-working Sandy. I said, Mr. Sandy, we have to fix that. And if I remember the figure well, it was about $7 or $5 million between that and we got it done. A promise made, commitment delivered by yours truly. The same thing with Cart Road, you remember? Cart Road was a dirt road. I said, no, we fixed it temporarily. We brought relief to residents. And that was okay, but I said not good enough. By the time a year or two, it started, the wear and tear started disintegrating. I said, Secretary of Infrastructure, we have to fix that. Now it's paved properly. Persons were complaining and saying, Secretary, we need some retaining walls, the road paved, but landslides when rain come. Brothers and sisters, that was taken care of. And if you look along Cart Road now, you could see the quality of the infrastructure work in Mount St. George. So when they want to take the pictures by a pothole and say it ain't fixed, we can reference all the roads that we have paved throughout the length, throughout all the electoral district in Mount St. George, in Hope, in John Dial, all the arteries. We have delivered on our promise to transform this electoral district and to take care of the infrastructure needs. We could talk about brace walls, retaining walls. We could talk about the Agricultural Access Roads program. There's a lady with a shop by the junction where you get your fried chicken and chips. Her husband is a farmer. He said, Mr. Jack, if you fix the road to my farm, you're getting my vote. Brothers and sisters, the road fixed. And I got the vote. But brothers and sisters, what that means is that we have served everyone in the electoral district. We served without fear, without favor. And I love to mention the from their farmlands, because that is important. And when I hear a man taking responsibility that he has chased away Sandals, and he looking to chase away Marriott, all farmers in Bacolet, Mount St. George, and Mount St. George in particular should take offense to that. Because what he has done is chase away the opportunity for you to have greater income, increase agriculture production, and to become a businessman, a farmer, a full-time farmer with a predictable market. When we ran the numbers in the Division of Finance as to what the benefit will be if we had an expanded tourism plans, Sandals et al., we saw at least $80 million annually in revenue coming into our coffers. You think about that. $80 million coming into the Tobago House of Assembly. We saw employment for persons, because Sandals and hotels will have a policy, at least 2 rooms, at least 2 or 3 employees per room. Imagine a 250-room hotel with a 3-to-1 policy. And we look at least 750 employees. Imagine persons getting jobs. Imagine the farmers in our community coming and saying, Mr. Jack, I hear Sandals coming. I need money to get plant and machinery and equipment. What is possible? I say, come, BDU. Mr. Jack, I need a reference for agriculture to come and tractor down. My farm employed tractor pool taking too long. We intervened and provided their assistance. So when farmers are attempting to blame the Tobago House of Assembly, mash your brakes. We have delivered in this COVID season. We provided about $8 million in incentives to the agriculture sector, so that the Secretary of Agriculture will tell you that farmers were telling us, mash your brakes, you have to bring up nothing from Trinidad. We are producing enough during the pandemic to ensure that your hamper sacks are filled with quality goods from Tobago. But imagine if Sandals came to town. agriculture production would at least double, triple, and you have a man boasting, I run them, I send them away. That is why when they come to your door, chase them and run them away the same way. Tell them you have no good intentions for Tobago development. You have no good intentions for the farming community. You're big, we're big, and we have sense. Brothers and sisters, another area that I'm excited, I was particularly excited about and that we focus on was human capital development. Because when we walk around and we see young men asking for employment, young men seeking jobs, when you ask them to come in, they will tell you, I left school early. I don't have any subjects. I don't have any training. I don't have any certification. And brothers and sisters, we invested as an assembly and as your area representative to provide support through the Second Chance Learning Institute. We work together to host career day fairs for them so that we can guide and train them and place them in training institutions. We can show them where there were vacancies in certain jobs, and we provided the level of assistance so that we can empower our young people, that we can assist them with training and certification so that they can obtain jobs a whole lot easier, and that we could deal with the youth unemployment here in Tobago. Brothers and sisters, another thing that we did was to work through the NGOs, community-based organizations and faith-based organizations. That's why when the Mount St. George SDA Church said, listen, we wanted assistance and support to expand our sanctuary. We wanted to create a space for our young people, a youth church auditorium. They got the assistance. When the Methodist Church wanted assistance for their youth wing, again, investing in our young people, they got the assistance. And brothers and sisters, I can go on and on. But the point is that we supported a number of our NGOs, CBOs, and faith-based organizations to provide the necessary support to those persons who are necessitous, to those persons who are deserving, and to those persons who are in need. And as I wrap up, brothers and sisters, I have an aunt who used to tell me, she says, son, don't play with people's emotions. She would say, mean what you say. Let your word be your bond. Because brothers and sisters, we are going through the COVID-19 pandemic. We are going through a trying time. We are going through a time when many persons would have lost their jobs. You might have known family members who may have lost their lives. Just as I lost Auntie Ina a couple months ago, and she was batting so well, and we're saying that in a couple of years she will celebrate 100, and we lost her to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is an unusual time. This is a trying time. And brothers and sisters, in crisis, out of crisis, one thing has been constant in Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago over the years. It is once there is a People's National Movement administration in office, you are safe and secure in the midst of a crisis. But brothers and sisters, some people are going around trying to exploit your emotions. They started by saying that we didn't do anything, and that is a false accusation. And they are trying to play on your emotions during these trying times. But brothers and sisters, lift up your head. Strengthen your hand and your resolve to know that better is on the way, that better days are ahead. And you say, well, Mr. Jack, what are you really saying? It was last Thursday. And since assuming office as Secretary of Finance, we have started having meetings with the Article 4 the IMF, through the IMF Article 4 consultation. And after presenting our projections for the Tobago economy, we showed where the economy declined by only 5.3% in 2020. We showed our projections for growth for next year and for the next 3 years. And they interrogated our data. Thank you. And brothers and sisters, when the man was done, I asked him, I said, sir, talk to me. What is your outlook for Trinidad and Tobago? And brothers and sisters, he said positive. He said the next coming years we will return to growth in 2021, followed by 2022 and 2023. And brothers and sisters, if I want to take advice, if I'm looking for independent validation, who will I take that information from? The other side? No. Pontificators on the media with their agenda? No. But brothers and sisters, look at what the IMF is saying, that we are returning to positive growth. They did not only say that, but they applauded the efforts of this administration for the work that we have done to preserve lives in this crisis, to manage well. Let nobody fool you. Let nobody play upon your emotions. Let them tell them, listen, a big, and we have sense. The track record for governance during crisis is a track record held by the people. Financial crisis. We managed just before COVID the decline of oil and gas prices. And you want to tell me PNM did nothing? You want to tell me that we have not managed well? Tell them we big and we have sense. So brothers and sisters, I have gotten the wind-up signal. And as I close, I'm leaving these 4 parting questions with you. And I have to remind persons every night. Who will be our partner to advance Tobago's development come the next 4 years after December the 7th? Because a vote for the PDP is a vote for the UNC. And just as you rejected them last August to ensure that Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley was made Prime Minister, you have a responsibility come December the 6th to reject the other side and vote for the PNM. The next question, who will be your leader? Because you're not voting for a chief secretary, you are voting for a leader. Because when something happens, I want to hold one person responsible. One day is this policy, the next day is the other policy, and you don't know who is the leader, who you're voting for. Leader, the leader, there is no choice, Mrs. Tracy Davidson Celestine. My third point, and most important, and I hope the URP and CPEP workers and contract workers are taking note. What will be your employment status after December the 6th? And I want to remind person, they want to cut, we want to keep. They want to cut, we want to keep. They want to cut, we want to keep. And the final and closing point, Tobagonians, what is your value? I hear they dropping money on blocks. I hear they dropping all kind of packages on the blocks. Brothers and sisters, tell them I'm not for sale. Because after you come to try to buy me with your money on the block, after December the 7th, they ain't care about you. When they come with their offerings, run and reject them. But brothers and sisters, come December the 6th, You have a responsibility in Bagatelle, Bacalet to vote your boy, your hard-working son, your beloved Joel Jack, come December the 6th. And of course, you have one choice in Mount St. George, Goodwood. Charles Paulo Adams, the man whom I have the responsibility of to hand the baton on. Come. And brothers and sisters, as I symbolically shake his hand, and as we hand the baton over, we are signaling the transition from Joel Jack to Charles Paulo Adams as your next representative and the man who will provide effective representation to Bacalet Mount St. George. God bless you all richly.
Rolling in my two-man army, my Jesus and I know what God goes before.
So we have to keep the meeting moving because the man said he would be brief, but you know Joel Jack is a man always wants to talk to his people. So facts, we have plenty of facts for them. And the man I want to bring on the podium now, I had the pleasure of walking with him in the community. The man carried me through some drain and some gully. He said, Mr. Devines, we have to fix this. We have to get it done. So we have to ensure that we move and keep it going. But before I get to Mr. Charles Adams, I want to bring a man who was born ready. I want to bring the youngest chief secretary on stage. I want to bring a man who claims he's the most handsome of them all. So without any further delay, put your hands together and make some noise for Mr. Ansel, born ready Dennis.
We got this.
People of Mount St. George, how you feeling? People of Goodwood, how you feeling? Tobago people, how you feeling? You're looking good as well. Of course, let me recognize our political leader of the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement, Mrs. Tracy Davidson Celestine. The Deputy Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Mr. Joel Jack, and your candidate, Charles Adams, former Assemblyman in our midst, Mr. Handel Beckles, and of course, Miss Cynthia Alfred, party officers, PNM people, Tobago people. PNM. It is a pleasure to be in Mount St. George this evening. And unlike the previous speaker, I will be very brief. Because this is a very important election. The elections of 2013 was dubbed the mother of all elections, and I want to suggest that maybe we have coming on December 6th the father of all elections. PNM. Because such is the importance of this election to the people of Tobago, and I say as well to the people of Trinidad, to this country as a whole. We in the People's National Movement, a party that has been around for the last 65 years in service to the people of Tobago, a party that is not only well organized, but well disciplined, and we have a situation where our plans and programs and policies have been developing the people of Trinidad and Tobago for the last 65 years. On this occasion, we are saying to the people of Tobago
that there is a need to protect your future or protect our future. And many persons have been asking, protect what from what? And therefore, I want to spend the next 20 minutes or so telling you, the people of Tobago, what you need to protect and from who. Now, of course, there has been much talk about the accomplishments of the People's National Movement here in Tobago for the last 21 years. I don't necessarily like to talk about 21 years because it is my firm belief that in 2005, the people of Tobago had the opportunity to appraise the performance of the People's National Movement. And they gave Orville London and his team a passing grade. Then again in 2009, the people of Tobago once again had an opportunity to appraise the performance of again the then Chief Secretary Orville London and his team. And they gave the administration a passing grade once again. I think that election ended 8-4. And then again in 2013, the people of Tobago had yet another opportunity, where on that occasion they examined 16 years of PNM. Sorry, 12 years at the time. 12 years of PNM administration in Tobago. And the people of Tobago were so satisfied with the performance during that period, and maybe the performance from 2001 to then, that they allowed the People's National Movement to deliver the soundest of cocktails in any election here in Tobago, where we defeated the TOP 12-0. And even after that, the people of Tobago had yet again another opportunity, because that is what democracy is about. Democracy here in the Tobago space allows the people of Tobago to go to the polls and exercise their own choice to elect whichever assemblyman and whichever political party they wish to take care of the business of the people of Tobago. And therefore, in 2017, the people of Tobago once again determined that the people's have already spoken to you before about the achievements of this administration over the last 4 years and even over the last 2 years managing this period of pandemic. I spoke to you about the successes in the agriculture sector. They invested in the irrigation system in the Goldsboro estate to ensure that all 81 farmers operating in that location have access not only to good roads and the best soils on the island, but also to a predictable supply of water. I told you as well about the intentions of this administration at this time as we speak to develop approximately 600 acres of land that will be placed into the hands of approximately documentation to approximately 50 farmers 2 days from now on Thursday. And those farmers will be given the necessary documentation to formally occupy lands in Belmont Road and the Friendship Estate here on the island of Tobago. And that signals the beginning of the first phase. I told you about the fact that over the last 4 years alone, your PNM administration spent approximately $32 million, and that money was given to approximately 1,585 businesses, small and medium businesses owned by Tobago people, to ensure that those individuals had the opportunity to benefit from financial assistance to start their own business. People's National Movement here in Tobago. But I want to tell you what you have to protect this time around. And I'm saying to you, the people of Tobago, that the first thing you have to protect is the union between Trinidad and Tobago. Because I'm saying to you that based on what is happening in the politics of this country at this point in time, an independent nation since 1962 that has gone through periods of difficulty, from the 1990 attempted coup to a difficult economic situation from 2008, where we had the global financial crisis, and even currently where we are facing the darkest of hours of Trinidad and Tobago, that union that has been standing side by side, ensuring that this country is the greatest force in the Caribbean. I'm saying to you that that union is at risk. And therefore, what we must endeavor to do this time around is to ensure. You must have heard some time ago the position of the PDP, because there it was, and I don't care what Farley say, I don't care what Faith say, I don't care what the leader of any organization speaks, you must pay attention. And the leader of the PDP, Watson Duke, has said in no uncertain terms to the people of Tobago and to the people of this country by extension, that he wants independence and he wants secession. And all you could keep all your chief secretary that it is quite clear that the philosophy of the PDP, the policy of the PDP is not Tobago autonomy. It is not about internal self-government. It is not about giving the people of Tobago more responsibility for its own affairs. And I want to say to you as well, in case you didn't know, or in case you didn't work out the maths, there is a UNC party in Trinidad waiting in the wings. Currently, they are the opposition in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm saying to you that what stands in the UNC's way as it relates to governance of Trinidad and Tobago is in fact two young ladies by the name of Shamfa Kojo and Ayana Webster Roy. And I'm saying if you remove from the equation, and therefore I am saying to you, the people of Tobago, and I'm saying it with my chest, beware of the UNC, because the UNC will have absolutely no problem giving to Watson Duke and the PDP what they're asking for, which is secession. I am saying to you that the UNC will have absolutely no problem supporting us all you want. If it's secession all you want, all you could take it and go. And because Watson Duke wants to be Prime Minister, and there is no way for him to be Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, I am saying to you, the people of Tobago, that he is quite willing to settle for Prime Minister of Tobago. But the only way you could have a Prime Minister here in Tobago is if in fact Tobago becomes a then. It is one country called Trinidad and Tobago. So when they open up their mouth to talk about secession and to talk about independence, what they are saying to you, the people of Tobago, quite loud and clear, is that the PDP wants to have a situation where Tobago is in this situation. You have to examine the pros and the cons. And in anything, you have to determine whether the pros outweigh the cons, or if the cons outweigh the pros. And of course, if you were to examine Tobago's situation over the last 5 years, especially with the PNM in government in Trinidad, that level of collaboration has advanced at an accelerated pace. Because when you look throughout Tobago, look at the fact that down at Kong Point under construction now is a new airport terminal building. And I'm saying, even as that is on the way, you have to examine the voices that are speaking at the people of this country that Tobago is getting too much. You have people in Trinidad making comparisons about the population of Tobago being 60,000 and the population in Chaguanas and the population in Siparia and other places in Trinidad is more than the population in Tobago, and therefore they are asking the question, why are the people of Tobago benefiting from so much? I need to tell you about the benefits of that airport because I've spoken about that on numerous occasions. In addition to that, one of the first things that this Tobago Prime Minister attempted to do was to look at the situation with tourism here on the island. And for the longest while, we here in Tobago are aware of the fact that we need to have more tourism we want. And one of the first things he did was to ensure that we brought one of the premier hotels in the region and in the world to Tobago. They came, they looked at Tobago, they were impressed with Tobago, and through collaboration with the government, a decision was taken to construct a Sandals resort here. A man who should have been on Carrera by now, telling Butch to take his hotel and put it on Carrera. There you had Watson Duke and his supporters as well, saying to the people of Tobago that we don't need any Sandals, and that Butch Stewart could take his hotel and go. And even after they left in the most bold-faced of ways, he was there taking responsibility. Prime Minister did not sit on his hands, but he ensured that a property that is owned by the state at this point in time was placed into the mix, and a request for proposal was put out locally, of course, and we now have a situation where in the pipelines, and it is bound to happen, the people of Tobago will have the benefit, more proof of the commitment of the PNM government and the Tobago Prime Minister to Tobago. If you need more proof of the benefit of that level of collaboration, I am saying we can talk about the fire station in Roxborough. We can talk about the two police stations, one in Roxborough and one in Chauvin. We can all the seabirds challenges that we had here on the island. I'm saying there are several other areas where the people of Tobago have benefited from being part of the Union of Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm saying, if you want to follow the PDP, and let's stick break in your ears and go and support a situation where Tobago runs the risk of becoming an independent country outside of the Union of Trinidad and Tobago, then if you want to take that risk, then of course you will get to the point where in the situation, examine what you have now, examine the fact that apart from our budgetary allocations, we have been able to collaborate with the central government on many other fronts, because of course you will hear when the leader comes, she will talk to you about our housing plans, she will talk to you about the improvement and the upliftment of Scarborough. She will talk to you about future developments in the tourism sector, strong THA led by the People's National Movement and a People's National Movement government in Trinidad, working closely in collaboration in the best interest of the country of Trinidad and Tobago. So when they want to come to you, tell them secession nothing. Tell them we are protecting the future of Tobagonians. We are protecting the future of the Union of Trinidad and Tobago, and of course the People's National Movement's position on this matter is internal self-government for the people of Tobago. When you're having fun and when you're in full rhetorical flight. So I'm saying, as we speak, there is a wonder if people really understand what we have before us at this time. Because for the first time in donkey years, the development of Tobago is being prioritized in a particular way by the central government of Trinidad and Tobago. From hotels to airport to hospitals to fire stations to sea bridge to air bridge. After donkey years of talk and talk and talk, a bill was finally placed in the parliament giving the people of Tobago, giving your Tobago Island government significantly more powers and responsibilities than we have now. But there you had Fali listening to Watson Duke and his stupid talk. The bill. You know what it came down to when Fali wrote to the parliamentarians in Trinidad? It came down to 4 issues. 1, 2, 3, 4 issues. And of the 4 issues that Fali highlighted as reasons why the bill should not be passed, 3 of the issues were already taken care of in the same bill. And I'm saying, as a result of that ridiculousness, opportunity to benefit from an additional $1.5 billion in the last budget, you also missed an opportunity to elect 15 assemblymen who would have gone to the legislature after this election and be in a position to make laws for the good governance of the people of Tobago. Because I don't know if you know, but currently your Tobago House of Assembly bills, but the bills must go down to Trinidad and go to the cabinet and go wrong so and come back so and go up the hill, then to the parliament before it becomes law. So I'm saying to you, the people of Tobago, because of the rejection of that bill is in the parliament, you have the support of the PNM parliamentarians in Trinidad, and of course you have the support of the PNM Tobago House of Assembly, and that is what we are about, because we believe that the future of Tobago will be bright as part of the Union of Trinidad and Tobago, but also in a situation where Tobago has greater autonomy. So of course, I will tell you other reasons why you should protect, to ensure that you do what you must to elect Charles Adams, the man of the hour, the man of the moment, to take this electoral district forward. So of course, do what you must. Spread the PNM message. convince the people of this area and Tobago, by extension, to protect their future and to protect the Union of Trinidad and Tobago. And when you would have done that and successfully ensure that Charles Adams is the new assemblyman for this ENM, and we have prevailed.
The most I Jah deliver me through my troubles and trials. He comfort me.
So you heard it, and put your hands together again for Chief Secretary Ansel Dennis. The amount of fast 5 o'clock in the evening, in the afternoon. That way between Joel and Ansel, we could cover all our bases. But the man of the moment, the man that we are here to hear from, make some noise, Mount St. George. I want everybody to stand up, because we're standing up on December the 6th. So Mr. Charles, Hello, Adams. How you feeling? Are we ready and ready? Follow up, say yeah, yeah. Please movement. Mrs. Tracy Davison Celestine. Other executive members of the council of the PNM for the electoral district of Bacalet Bagatelle. And other members of the team PNM on the various radio stations and social media. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good night and Georgia, to be exact. Georgia, Georgia, Georgia. Tonight it is with great, it is a tremendous sense of pride and humility that our electoral district of Mount St. George, Goodwood. I am Patno. This village is near and dear to my heart. It is the village of Mount St. George here that nurtured me. I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude. I can honor and pay tribute to the tremendous investment that you have made in me is to serve you in the field of politics.
where I firmly believe I can do much more for you than I would have done over the years. It is against this backdrop that I come to you seeking your support for the area representative of Mount St. George, Goodwood. Now, my brothers and sisters, I come to you with a long and go community, more in general. You know, a few days ago, someone from the other side asked me what track record I have going up for elections. And I had to give an answer. I serve in various technical alignment, has been deep and wide-ranging. In this regard, I serve as the president of the Mount St. George Youth Organization, board member of the Tobago Football Association, board member of Coaching School Sinclair, treasurer of the Scarborough RC Primary School, parent teacher, delegate to the conference at WASA, yes, the Public Service Association. And member of the Mount St. George Village Tobago Agriculture Society and director on the board of the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, popularly called by everyone as TADCO. Should I keep say all this not to boast or blow my own trumpet, because as you know, I am not that kind of man. But I say this to tell you that I am eminently equipped to represent you, and I have what it takes to do well. Paulo Adams as your representative. Now, my pledge to you is to represent you with humility, dignity, and class. That sounds like a PNM, of course, not so. I will serve you with honor and compassion. I pledge to work with you and work for you. I will be responsive to your needs, build on the tremendous work done by my predecessor, Mr. Joel Jack and Mr. Hayden Spencer, just to take this representation to another level. I come with you of this electoral district and on the whole development of the various communities in the electoral district of Mount St. George, Goodwood, and our beautiful island, Tobago, in the electoral district of Mount St. George, Goodwood. I need not go talking about those achievements in any big way, because Mr. Jack and the Honorable Chief Sec would have said so much before. But ton of major roadworks along the Windward Main Road. The development, as they said, of agriculture access roads across the electoral district, inclusive of Windsor Road, Caledonia, and Terry Hill. And of course, these are just few of the many achievements of the People's National Movement. Ladies and gentlemen, what can the various communities comprising Mount St. George Goodwood expect from Charles Palo Adams as your representative over the next 4 years? Development in the district. Development that will not only benefit us, but our future generation. Development that will positively impact the lives of our residents, our communities, our economy throughout the electoral district for the past weeks. I've heard your dreams and your aspirations, and I share in your vision for the further development of this electoral district, Mount St. George Goodwood. Ladies and gentlemen, as the next representative George Goodwood, I pledge to work with you to expand the opportunities for you, the residents in this electoral district, to earn sustainable livelihoods. We must find creative ways to exploit our history and our cultural heritage for the further development of the various communities of this district. Now, in this regard, when things return to normal, I propose to work with the various community of our annual heritage calendar. I could also recall a few years ago, Goodwood hosted a yam festival. This I see as an activity with tremendous potential, and I intend communities in Northside are known for a world famous Blue Food Festival. Goodwood must be known for Yam Festival. And we could even add other root crops. Several historical sites in both Mount St. George and Goodwood that we can develop and use as tourism attractions as part to the people of hope, my dear brothers and sisters. I intend to work closely with the Hope Vancouver Steel Panorama competition. Now, propose to work with the various sporting organizations to host sporting competitions between and within various communities in this electoral district. My dear brothers and sisters, you know I'm very passionate about agriculture. Now, I propose to advocate for greater development of access roads to allow our farmers to access their plots easier. That is a continuum from what is taking place presently. I will also advocate for greater financial and technical support for our farmers and fishermen. The provision of safety at sea training, as well as GPS devices to track the location of our fishermen while at sea, will also be one of my priorities. To promote business and entrepreneurship in the electoral district, I will make representation for young entrepreneurs and prospective entrepreneurs to receive greater financial and technical support for the development and expansion of their businesses. Now, this will assist in the creation of sustainable private sector jobs in our various communities. I will also advocate for the development of a mentorship program for our young entrepreneurs, utilizing the service of some of the more experienced entrepreneurs in this electoral district of Mount St. George, Goodwood. Ladies and gentlemen, I am aware that there are some infrastructural issues to address in this electoral district. I am committed to addressing them. For instance, I propose to advocate for the construction of the Mount St. George Goodwood Link Road that will make more lands available in that part of the electoral district for both agriculture and housing. Likewise, I propose to advocate for the development of the Hope Trace Road linking Hope to Mount St. George, that is in the Green Hill area. This will have the effect of making more lands available in the electoral district for agriculture and housing. Of course, moreover, the widening and upgrading of the number 1 village street will be my major priority project over the next 4 years. That number 1 village street is the street just at the back of us there. That would be our priority. We'll be widening it, trying to widen the street as much as possible and make it more better for the working public. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on and on talking about what you can expect from me over the next 4 years. As your representative, but generally in the interest of time, I will end here and address other aspects as the campaign continues. My dear brothers and sisters, I wish to end by extending sincere thanks to the people of the electoral district of Mount St. George Goodwood for the tremendous outpouring of love, support, and encouragement during this campaign thus far. Your encouragement, your love, and your support has been a tremendous source of inspiration to me, and I wish to thank you sincerely for this. I give you the assurance that your confidence in me will not be misplaced. My campaign has been running on the engine of family values, and I wish to thank my dear wife, she's somewhere in the audience there, my family and close friend who have been a tremendous source of inspiration and vigorous support throughout this journey so far. To my young, vibrant, and talented PR team that works around the clock, I thank you. All I can say is that I am going to join us in this great journey as we seek to work collectively for a better Tobago and to protect our future. With God's help and with your support on election night, when Charles Adams is declared your representative, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and it has prevailed. I thank you.
And grit to make it better. Yes, bigger, better, brighter, further, faster, more fruitful, and as we look toward a new horizon, more competitive. So, let's talk development. As the waters of the Caribbean Sea wash our shores, so too does the state-of-the-art fast ferries in our own B. James and
Get
Brooklyn.
out your family. Believe that women are the cornerstone. Of our society. And you see the other side, that their leader is an rape charge. I won't talk anymore because my nephew say, Uncle Kwesi, you know, leader, and you know, there's something that they're doing now where they're handing out bread. So it's almost ironic. That they're trying to destroy our women, draw lots and choke. You find it quiet now about the zip line because they tried to destroy a good woman and it didn't work. They tried to destroy Franca Cordner. All of a sudden, the day she's putting on nomination papers, all kind of videos and things, to try to discredit and destroy a young woman who stands to benefit. It's one man behind it. The same man who trying to give you the bread that the devil need. Farley Augustine needs to be held accountable for his actions. You have a responsibility, and he's talking about you need to elect him so he could help people. He had a responsibility to stand up for Franca Cordner. He had a responsibility to protect a good woman, Tracy Davidson Celestine. And you see, Faith, he might come for you next. So Faith, I know you're probably listening because you like to tune into our platforms. But somewhere over the rainbow, he will come for you too. Be careful. Women of Tobago, be careful about the combination of Watson Duke and Farley Augustine. And I want us now to give full support to a woman who, despite the missiles, she stood tall. Who, despite every attempt to shoot her down, she stood tall. And I want us to stand tall and stand proud at this moment with our to the platform. Make some noise. Mount St. George, your girl, Tracy Davidson Celestine.
I cannot wait for election morning. Tell them what? Tell them what? Dipping down to me elbow, darling. From Spain to Canaan, we make it into this.
Mount St. George, Goodwood, how are we feeling tonight? Members, and I'm hoping that we are all ready for the battle ahead, which is on December 6, 2021. So with all that we do here, we have to remember that the most important day is December 6, 2021. Permit me to recognize at the head table this evening, Chief Secretary Ansel Dennis and candidate for Bukomong Pleasant. I also want to recognize in the midst all of our executive of the Tobago Council of the PNM, and I know I have to go quickly because of the time. I also want to recognize Deputy Chief Secretary and of course immediate former area representative very nicely to the incoming assemblyman for this electoral district, Charles Adams, a son in whom you all are well pleased. Listen to the contributions that he has made to this electoral district, and more so to the people of Tobago, and through his involvement in the sport and youth organizations throughout various parts of Tobago. And Charles must be commended for all of the work and the contributions. And like all the other speakers, I take the opportunity to endorse him as the candidate and the standard bearer for the People's National Movement. And to at the same time ask all of you who are listening from this electoral district to give to Charles Adams the support so that he can continue to represent all of you at a very high level. And of course, he will work alongside very experienced assemblymen and representatives. So whatever he does not know, we will ensure that he is equipped with the necessary knowledge to ensure that you are well represented. And he recognized those who are on the World Wide Web, those who are viewing in from Channel 5, TV 6, Radio Tambourine, wherever you are, listening to the message of the People's National Movement. Because as I indicate every night, and I will always do it, that we are the platform of truth. We are providing you with the fact so that you can make the correct decision come December 6, 2021. And that decision is to vote for all of our candidates in the electoral district and to ensure that you support the Balize, the People's National Movement, and that you protect your future and our future in the process. This is what this election is all about. But before I move into my conversation for this evening, as the Secretary of Health, I want to use the opportunity to remind all of us that COVID-19 is still very present, and more so that the Delta variant is very present in our communities. Today, I was a little bit shocked when I saw the daily report, 60 positive recorded cases on the island today. Last week, we had a high as well of 57. And then on some days it dipped to 35 and to 25. But the point must not be lost that we still have COVID. And more so, we still have an aggressive Delta variant. I know that we're excited about the campaigns and we want to go out there to support each and every one of the candidates. But I urge all of you to ensure that you mask up. Most importantly, that you vaccinate up, and that you follow those basic rules and regulations that we have been providing to you through our message. And so what is the question tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Because on this platform, we have been asking quite a lot of questions. And we ask those questions continuously so that you can focus on the discussions and so that you can focus on the conversations. And that when you leave here, that you go back and ponder and do your reflection and answer those questions, even with the information that we provide to you on these platforms in our conversation. And so I turned this morning to see everybody asking, where is the political leader of the PDP? Why is the political leader of the PDP hiding? Aren't you asking that yourselves that question as well? Because we are so familiar with the political leader of parties taking their parties into an election. And as I mentioned before, if you were to look at what happens in Trinidad, you would see the political parties being led by the political leaders. In the case of Tobago, there are 3 or 4 political parties at present. You have the IDA, we have a political leader who leads that arrangement. We have the other party, somewhere out of Buku, that political leader leads that party. In the People's National Movement, the political leader leads the party into the election. But on the other side, which is the PDP, we have a deputy political leader leading the party into the election. But more than that, you would have found the political leader on the platform as well. But since after the statements of the ex gratia payment and the severance package that political leader asserted to the people of Tobago, we have not seen that political leader anywhere. And so the question is, why is the PDP, why is Farley, and why is Faith hiding the political leader of the PDP? Who are they hiding the political leader from? Is it from the people of Tobago? And if that is the answer, or that is the question, then you as a people must ask yourself the question, why are they hiding the political leader in the face of a heated election? And I wonder, and I'm sure all of you would wonder, if they are hiding the political leader because of the fact that there has been so much mismanagement in the PSA. Could that be a reason why he is being hidden at this time? I also have to ask myself the question, and more recently, if they are hiding the political leader of the PDP, because they have come to recognize that every time they look at the political leader, what they in fact see is that collaboration between the PDP and the UNC. And today I was going through some of my notes, going back to things that would have transpired in the past. And one of the things that struck me is a communication that I saw that Watson Duke was to be the UNC senator in the parliament under the banner of the United National Congress. And so when I look at what is taking place in the PDP at this time rather, I ask myself whether Farley and Faith are hiding Watson Duke because of those statements that Watson Duke has said and has made and has asserted, and they're afraid that he will crush this election for them. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, because it is even that same leader that has been talking about secession and independence. It is that same leader who would have said that Farley, the deputy political leader, cannot speak on his behalf. It is that same political leader who has said to us, the people of Tobago, that whatever I says goes, because this is my party. It is that same political leader who would have registered the Bulife and the PDP in his name as an individual. And when you check back, when you do your research, they really have all reasons to hide him from the people of Tobago at this time. But as we have been saying, you can't see things in the day and take Bulife and look for it in the night. The danger is clear and present. The danger is Watson Duke on the other side. And more so, the biggest danger and the biggest threat is Farley leading or posing as the leader of the PDP, and then aided and abetted by his accomplice, Faith. And we have always grown up to the phrase which says, the upholder is in fact worse than the thief. And as I walk through respective electoral districts throughout Tobago, I am hearing people saying the same thing over and over. But we didn't recognize that Farley was worse than Watson. And this is what I'm hearing. I walked Signal Hill, I walked Patience Hill, I'm in Scarborough, I am down sometimes in Boko Mount Pleasant. Not that I'm minding the Chief Secretary business, but everywhere I go, I am hearing the same thing, that Farley is worse than Watson. Because what is the reason that Farley is hiding Watson Duke, the political leader of the PDP at this time, and he in fact has taken up the responsibility to act as though he is the person who is leading this party into the next election, when we of course know that that is in fact a charade. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, ladies and gentlemen, and my friends, and focus and do our own reflection and come up with our answers, our own answers. But of course, it must take into consideration the information that we are sharing with you tonight. Because what we are sharing is real information, is factual information. And these are conversations that have been carried through by the people within the electoral district. And more so, what we say to you are assertions coming from the people on the other side. And so we cannot afford for Farley Chavez to continue to tell us lies. And I want all of you to take note of the name Farley Chavez Augustine. Put aside Farley, put aside the Augustine, and pay attention to that name Chavez. Look it up. Go back in history and you will see the kind of people with the kind of characteristics who were named Chavez. And we have one of them right here in Tobago, an individual who is prepared to say and do anything for power. And so we have to pay close attention and ask ourselves those questions as we move forth in this election. We're talking serious business. We're talking about protecting your future, most importantly. And we're talking about electing into office people who have a track record of performance, people who are about integrity and telling you the truth, no matter what the challenges are, and people who will ensure that they have your back in the process. And that is all of us on this side in the People's National Movement. And so I have been paying attention to what has been said, even by those on the other side, because they're peeping into our business too, because they want to hear of our plans and actions, and I know that we have to copyright our plans and action because we don't want them to steal them, because everything we put out, we hearing that come from us and that come from us. But when you really look at it, they have no plan of action, they have no manifesto, 13 days into the election, and they cannot yet tell you what is their Tobago Economic Recovery Plan. They cannot yet tell you what they are going to do for single women and even for the people in the agricultural industry. But the point I am making to you, my friends, members of the PNM, and even those of you who are listening to us, I heard them talking about the People's National Movement has not done enough. $40 billion and counting, yet we see no evidence of the development in the communities. And I have to ask myself whether these people are in fact blind, or probably they have some kind of challenge. Because I also heard the deputy political leader speak to the fact that the Tobago House of Assembly has no plan of action in the past. And I looked and I saw in my library the Tobago Comprehensive Economic Development Plan. I looked and I saw the Northeastern Development Plan. And further to that, I saw the Windward Development Plan. All of them are plans with programs and actions and activities that have been implemented by the People's National Movement administration over the years. And that is why we can talk of road infrastructure. That is why we can talk of hospital improvements. And even that is why the former immediate area representative could talk boldly about all of those retaining walls that have been constructed, because they were all listed in the Windward Development Plan. A plan that was implemented, and one that came of age rather, when we had the Thomas, I think it was the Thomas hurricane sometime between, say, 2009 to 2013, if my memory serves me correct. But the point of the matter is, Farley is not aware of what is happening, or what has happened rather, in the Tobago House of Assembly, and try to use every opportunity to pontificate and sound as though he is one of the most intelligent human beings on the island, when in fact he is talking information, or saying things rather, that he does not know what he is talking about. And that is the reality of this situation. And so I just want to take this opportunity to remind each and every one of you about the contribution that this administration has made to the development of Tobago, and the investment that has been made. Because over the years, we have looked at all the challenges that we have faced, and we have found the solutions to deal with those challenges, and as an administration, because we don't run from challenges, we don't run from a fight, we come up with solutions and we implement those solutions. So let us go back to where we were. And so we had a challenge with transportation, not so? It was difficult to travel between Trinidad and Tobago, whether it was by boat or whether it was by plane. So what did the administration do? Collaboration. because we don't always have the kind of finances in the Tobago House of Assembly to do all that we want. So we brought the central government to the table, and we have new ferries to date, so that we can all travel in style between Trinidad and Tobago. There was a time when we could not get flights to travel between both islands. And so what did the administration do with the collaboration of central government? We wet leased aircraft. And then people were complaining about the cost of airfare. What did the government do in concert with the Tobago House of Assembly? We subsidized the cost of travel by air and sea. PNM administration. And so sometimes we ought to forget. And then the senior citizens complained that, of course, we have to take them into consideration because they have been making so much contribution to the development of Tobago. And what did the administration do? Of course, we ensured that we kept the promise of ensuring that our seniors don't have to pay for travel between Trinidad and Tobago. Let us look at what has happened with electricity. And I reminded the audience, I think it was on Sunday, I grew up in Tobago East, and every time, one of the major things that we had in our household was candle. Because electricity would go very, very often. Some people had lamps. Look at where we are for today. The Tobago House of Assembly, the PNM administrations would have collaborated to ensure that we could improve the challenge of electricity going night after night on this beautiful island. And so we built a Cove power plant, and over the years we have seen the improvements and the upgrades in that power plant. Now we have moved from 20 megawatts to 95 megawatts. We treated with the issue of electricity. Let us look at how we have also treated with the challenge of unemployment. When the People's National Movement came into office, unemployment was in the vicinity of 13%. We have worked progressively as an administration to make a dent in that, and the Secretary of Finance has indicated to me that based on the last census taken, the unemployment rate in Tobago is in fact 3.5%. And that is in 2020. Yes, we're in 2021. But the point of the matter is moving unemployment from 13% to 3.5 or 4, 5 as the case might be, is considered full employment. And that is the People's National Movement administration. Let us look at how we have treated with our infrastructure challenges. When this administration took office, we couldn't drive all around Tobago. You remember that? When you go to Lansamy, you have to turn back. Now we're traveling from Lansamy right through over to Charlottesville. We come through, and we drive around all of Tobago. It was the People's National Movement administration who would have done that. So when they on the other side tell you that nothing has been done, again tell them that I say, that we say on this side that they're telling lies, because they want to campaign on the basis of lies and deception and deceit and in fact hate. But on this side, we are going to tell you the truth so that you have the information, so that you can be reminded of the contributions that we would have made. Look at how we have treated with education. We have built the secondary schools. We have built the primary schools. And more so, we have upgraded those plans so that our children can have some of the best educational facilities for them to learn. Look at how we have treated with hospital and with healthcare. For some time now, we have only had one hospital in Tobago. Now a small population, a small island as Tobago, 60,000 people. Sometimes I wonder if it's 50 or 55,000 people. But the point of the matter is we have 2 hospitals here, People's National Movement Administration. And so we have done the work in every sector. We have made the investment, we have made the contribution, and all we do now is to remind you of those gains that we have made, to remind you of how we have worked as a team and as an administration to improve the standard of living of all on this island. And that is why all of you can now have 2 and 3 cars, and most of you can have 2 and 3 and sometimes even 4 jobs. There is nothing wrong with that. It is because the government of the Tobago House of Assembly would have created the environment so that you, the people of Tobago, can thrive. And this is what it's all about. So don't let this new pick-up side party, this one-man team come to hoodwink you about what the PNM has not done. We have said it, that development is along a journey. And then as times change and circumstances change, people's needs and their wants and even the demand change as well. But at the end of the day, we are going to assure you that we will treat with those changing needs and demands as we go forward. And I am very pleased with the report from IMF indicating to all and sundry that Tobago is well poised and Trinidad and Tobago is well poised. In fact, what the IMF is saying to us is that there are exciting times ahead. And those exciting times can only come because of astute management. And we're talking about astute management from a PNM administration in Trinidad and a PNM administration in Tobago. And once as you vote on the 6th for the People's National Movement Administration, better days are ahead. I think it was Patrice Roberts who sang this song, Better Days Are Coming. And we have been saying that to all of you. And under my leadership and with my team, we have a plan of action, we have a manifesto that seeks to put Tobago on the map. A plan of action that sees Tobago as a well-diversified island and one that is largely led by the private sector with support from the public sector and with healthy people and in a friendly environment. This is what we see for the future. And that is why we're talking about the Scarborough Development Project. I heard somebody say we stole the idea. But I want to tell you that that is an original idea from the People's National Movement Administration and with support from the Inter-American Development Bank. Those are world institutions, and we have started already. I think the billboard will be placed up in the heart of Scarborough, if not this week, very early next week. And that is not an election gimmick. When we win on the night of the 6th of December, in January 22, project will start. We will break ground and ensure that we have that project for the people of Tobago so that we can create employment and entrepreneurship and create opportunities for our people. And this is where we are. We have set the foundation over the years. Don't let nobody come to tell you that PNM in office for too long. What is it they're asking you to change from what to what? Is it that they prefer instability for stability? Is it that they prefer noise and bacchanal with a central government as opposed to peaceful talking that can lead to accrued benefits for the people of Tobago? Look at how many things we have received as a people since the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley took the helm of the administration and the central government in Trinidad. Have you recognized that in 5 years he was able to put aside over $3 to $4 billion to ensure that his people in Tobago are well taken care of? The airport alone is $1.2 billion. The Roxborough Hospital is about 100 million. We have the administrative complex, another 60-point-something million dollars. The fire station, the the police station, and all those other things that will come with his leadership right there. And this is in addition to the $2.2 billion that we have been receiving. This is supplemental funding that we may not get if it is that we put Watson Duke into office. It is because of our collaboration and healthy working relationships why we are receiving this kind of support from the central government, and we ought not to take that for granted. Because I would remind you that in the period, I think it was 2009 to 2013, it was the hardest time for us as members of the Tobago House of Assembly. And I would always say it, I was the secretary with responsibilities for tourism, and the stakeholders were clamoring for an airport. And when I talk about stakeholders, I'm not just talking about the local stakeholders, I'm talking about those who are international as well, the tour operators. Everybody's saying, we want to come to Tobago, but you don't have no business class, you don't have this, you don't have that. And we spoke to the Minister of Tourism, and I think he was also the Minister of Works then, because usually the airport is under the Ministry of Works. And all we got was an upgrade in the tune of $44 million. With Keith Rowley at the helm, we have gone past upgrade. We have gone to the point of getting a brand new airport at $1.2 billion. And so, Tobago, you must understand the importance of relationships in an election. And if nothing else, you ought to vote to ensure. You ought to vote to ensure that we can continue all those projects and programs and plans and activities that are on the drawing board to be rolled out in January 2022 and beyond. And they are for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for the not so young, and for the senior citizens within the respective communities. And so going forward, I just want to indicate again that the future is bright under the administration of the People's National Movement. Don't let anybody tell you that the People's National Movement has not delivered. Don't let anybody tell you that the People's National Movement has been in office for too long, because we have been enjoying a standard of living that is second to none when compared with the rest of the Caribbean. And Tobago has places to go. Tobagonians, we have places to go. And we will ensure that the People's National Movement take all of you to the place that we all supposed to be, which is in a land that is well diversified and modern in terms of our systems and our technology, and thus moving to a paperless Tobago House of Assembly, and one that treats with environmental energy, we could make our own contributions to the international orders. So the message tonight is that the PNM is the best party. The message tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is that on this side, there is decency. On this side, you have the best representatives from each community and from each electoral district. The message is that on this side, there is accountability. We are not anti-institution. We are not anti-Tobago House of Assembly with its levels of accountability and transparency. On this side, we are about creating jobs, and they are about cutting jobs on the other side. And on this side, there is energy, and there is love for each and every Tobagonian. And so we have to be focused on the goal which says that we must work together as a people to take Tobago to the next level under a People's National Movement administration. And so all we want to do is to work with you in the 15 electoral districts with our 15 representatives. With anything else, there would be chaos and confusion. And so we want you to go out and cast the vote for all 15 of them. Whether you want to start from Charlottesville and come down, whether you want to start from Canaan, Bonaccord and come up, or over there on the northwestern part of Tobago in Signal Hill, Patience Hill, it does not matter. All we want is your vote. All we want is for you to wake up on the day rather, of December 6, 2021. Go out early at the polls, starting from 6 a.m. and support and vote solidly and only for the Balize and the People's National Movement. And if we were to do that on the night of December 6th, I know some of us could be trembling and all of that because we don't know what the people will do at the polls. All we would sing once as the PNM leading out front is that great will be the PNM. Great will be the PNM. Tobago's development will be in good hands. I thank you and God richest blessings.
And there you have it, my brothers and sisters. You heard it right here from the PNM platform. You heard it from our political leader, Tracy Davidson Celestine. And just as a reminder, in Signal Hill, Patience Hill, you will put in your X by the Balize for Tracy Davidson Celestine. In Plymouth Blackrock, we put in the X for Larry Paul. In Bethesda Lekoto, we're going with Uncle Brian Thomas. In Roxborough Argyle, we're going with Nadine Stewart Phillips. In Darrell Spring Wim, we're going with the man himself, the people's champion, Kelvin Morris. In Scarborough Mount Grace, the lady of class, Miss Marcelin Melville Jack. In Bonaccord Crown Point, we're going with Mr. Clarence Breed Easy Jacob. In Bacalet, we're going with Mr. Joel Dupont Jack. In Buku Mount Pleasant, Mr. Ansel Born Ready Dennis. In Mountain George Goodwood, make some noise. In Mountain George Goodwood, we're going with Charles Paulo Adams. In Mason Mariah, it's the Pathfinder for Progress, Lawrence Hislop. In Lambo Lowlands, we continue in the legacy with Keno Mackenzie. In Bethel New Grange, Downey Chotty Marcel. In Belgan Glamorgan, Kenneth Punchin Thomas. And in Palativia Land for me Speyside, to complete the sweep, we're going with Franca Cordner on December 6th. Spread the message. Go out there, get the PNM message. Don't let them fool us. Don't fall for the deceit and lies. The PNM has delivered for 21 years, and we are ready to deliver for our next 4 years. Go out there, spread the message. Vote the PNM, because we have a responsibility to keep Tobago great. We have a responsibility to keep Tobagonians great. So on the night of December 6th, when we are all successful under the banner of the PNM, we shall say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and all of Tobago, we would have prevailed. We thank you.
The inter-island travel circumstance, but it has also provided new ways to connect both islands in a more effective manner. Health and well-being have been treated as top priorities. The innovatively established pink and blue rooms have created safe, focused spaces on the well-being of both men and women across the island. People-centered, purpose-driven. That is your PNM administration. From Crown Point to Charlottesville, development lives. The Charlottesville Mini Mall will transform the way both local and tourists interact with and share in the Tobago experience. Positioned as a multi-tiered, multi-purpose commercial center, the mall will create a thriving business environment in the heart of Charlottesville and will manifest diverse opportunities and space for residents to realize profitable business ventures. Community centers are the live wires of communal activity on the island. With an interest in human and fiscal resource development, these centers have been spread across the island to give you more access, more avenues, and more opportunities. All children stand at the source of all focus. From recess to success, the infrastructural investments made will transform the 21st century Tobago child's learning experience. The island's national security apparatus has seen new promise and new prominence. From foundation to finish, the new housing of Tobago's Security Administration, personnel and operation have created an extended pool of access to the communities they serve and the island at large. We have developed a comprehensive plan to hone and invest in our own natural resources. Our aim is to become a leading supplier of every natural resource that can be extracted from right here on our 116 square miles. We are committed to infrastructural, technical, and human capacity development required to ensure Tobago's